hearts, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about faith, love, and GLP-1s. And today is Transformation Thursday. And I'm going to share more insight from my specific Zepbound journey. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nicole, and I'm very excited to have you here with me today. Before we dive in, I want to first thank you all who have joined me for another episode and who have subscribed to the channel. If you're new here, please remember to follow, like, and subscribe. This channel was created for us to be able to share stories and experiences about life. So I'm glad you stopped by to tune in. And as always, I'm forever humbled and grateful. All right, so I'm going to first do just my weekly update. My shot day was actually yesterday. I know this is kind of off. This is a Transformation Thursday because this is when I'm going to post. But my shot day is actually on Monday, and today is Tuesday when I'm filming. So just giving an update from my shot day this week and kind of where I am, and just kind of some things that I've kind of learned along the way in these past couple months, actually, since I've been on Zepbound for over a year. So really quickly, I wanted to also level set. I've been using ChatGPT and I call it Chad. So whenever you hear me say Chad, that is my ChatGPT. Okay. So Chad and I were talking about my Zepbound journey, and I asked for, because I'm a very visual person, so I asked for visual aids for my milestones, for things that I've been tracking, things that I ask about, like specifically I've been asking about plateaus because that's kind of the phase that I'm in right now. One of the things I wanted to do was share some of those visuals and then kind of talk through it because it helps me kind of keep track of what I want to share with you all today. So first, you'll see here, let me just go through kind of where I am today. So my results for the week, and basically what I do is I use my Renfo scale to weigh in, and I usually I stopped doing it weekly, but I went back to doing it weekly, and I'll explain in a minute about that. But you'll see here my weight change for the week. I am officially 97.5 pounds down, almost to 100. So I'm 2.5 pounds away from reaching my 100 goal, or 100 pound weight loss. And then my current BMI is 32.6. Goal progress is 79%. I've lost 34% of fat. And then my weekly average of how much I lose on a weekly average is 1.4 pounds, so almost 1.5 pounds. And I am 25.2 pounds away from my goal. So the other thing I wanted to share, and you'll see here, is just kind of my Zepbound journey overall. So you'll see I started my 2.5 milligram dose, and that was actually January of 2024. And I was 287 pounds, 287.7 pounds. And then this is really going over kind of my milestones for the year. But I started 5 milligrams in March of 2024, and I was on, actually, let me back up. So the 2.5 milligrams I was on for 15 weeks. When I started the 5 milligrams in March of 2024, I was on that for 46 weeks. So I was on the 5 milligrams for the longest amount of time since I've been on this, on Zepbound. And then recently titrated up to 7.5 milligrams in March of 2025. And I've currently been on it as of this last shot, 10 weeks. So you'll see here just some of the things that have progressed over time. Like you'll see on this one, I have functional strength training workouts, what I do in a week. When I reached under 200 pounds was actually before my 40th birthday. So I was excited about that. And then that I'm almost close to 100 pounds. So you'll see it says 7.6 pounds away, but I'm actually 2.5 pounds away now. So yeah, so that's kind of where I am today. And I'll throw some pictures up here while I'm talking, just so you can see kind of what I was from basically December of 23 to December of 24. And then you'll see also kind of a more recent picture where I went from February of 2024 to March of 2025. So you'll see those changes there, really significant change since then. So yeah, so right now I'm on 190.2 pounds. And really the stage I was at is really what I wanted to talk about today, is how I broke through my plateau, because that was when I got to 60 weeks is actually when I experienced an actual full blown like plateau. My weight fluctuated up and down kind of throughout throughout this journey, but it wasn't, my weight hadn't really stalled. I was still losing, gaining, losing, gaining. I'd have maybe moments of, or times where I would lose about a pound and then maybe gain a pound back, or and then or maybe I gain like one or two and then lose like 4 or 5. So it was very back and forth, but never really a straight plateau until I hit February 25. So almost right at my 60-week mark. So then I was kind of talking to my doctor about it. And I talked a little bit about this as well, where I decided, okay, I think I may need to titrate up to help me go through the plateau, but I also know that I needed to change the way I looked at my weight loss. So it was more of having that sustainability mindset as opposed to just dropping pounds, right? So this is where, I was just kind of like, I needed to focus more on those, not so much of the scale, but more just like of what I need to do, like, because the Zepbound the drug itself is just really a tool, right? So it's a tool in conjunction with all of those other things that you're doing. So it's your workout regimen, it's the food that you're eating, the nutrients you're putting in your body. And from start to finish, my whole regimen has just been upgraded, it's been changed just to help again break through the plateau. So there's a couple of things that I did. One is I did talk to my doctor about titrating up just to make sure that it was something she felt like it made sense for me to do at that time. I had been maybe 3 weeks in the same weight, maybe two, yeah, going into 3 weeks at the same weight. Hadn't lost weight, hadn't gained weight. So that's when I was like, okay, maybe that I need to titrate up. So that's when I got on the 7.5 milligram. And then I also made more specific workout regimen. So like I did, like Wednesdays I may focus on legs, Monday I may focus on abs. Like I really was focused in on certain body areas, and more strength training too, to just help with the weight loss as well. And then focus more too on getting in enough protein, making sure that I'm eating my nutrients, fiber, all of those things, right? So I did definitely do a lot of that. And I am going to share some of the other like weight loss photos that I have, just kind of my weight progress. So you'll see the weight progress that I have here this month so far. And it's the 13th of May. So I've lost 1.6 pounds in the past 2 weeks. And then the other picture that I have here is just kind of my 6 months, the past 6 months. So from December to May, I lost 20.1 pounds. So, and then I was stalled. Like I said, I was stalled for probably the month of February where I really wasn't losing weight. So I just started consistently losing weight again, probably shortly after I titrated up with the 7.5. I was still kind of fluctuating back and forth, but I think with what I've done as far as titrating up, I did also change my shot day. When I started my journey, my shot day was on Tuesday. And then maybe 2 weeks after I titrated up to the 7.5, I changed my shot day from Tuesday to Monday to kind of reset. I guess it's just kind of resetting my body a little bit and help. And I think that also kind of worked to break through the plateau. So, the other thing, just really being real here is like when you're in a plateau, it can definitely be frustrating. And that's why I think it's important to change your mindset about your weight loss, because it's not, you know, changing that thought about was just the weight loss. It's more of a transformation of your mind and your body, your spirit, all that good stuff, right? Like you're basically focusing more on what your goal is for your health overall and how are you going to sustain that after you reach your goal weight. Like I'm getting closer to the weight that I want to be. So it can't just be like, I shouldn't be focused so much on losing pounds. It needs to be more about what am I going to do after I lose the pounds so that I don't gain it all back, right? Do I plan on staying on Zepbound? Do I plan on what do they call microdosing, where you're doing maybe instead of every 7 days, am I going to go every 8 or every 10? Like I've been thinking about all of these different things. And right now my plan is to stay on the 7.5, and I do the 3-month supply through my insurance through Express Scripts. So I'm good until my next shipment, which will be in not until July. And then that actually will take me out all the way until November. So so I plan on being basically on the 7.5 for the remainder of the year and see kind of if I should be by my at my goal by that time, which my goal weight is 165, and I should be there by that time. So that will, and then I'll be able to assess, do I need to stay on the 7.5, or do I need to extend my shot day, or my how often or how frequently I take the shot? Is it going to be 7 days? Is it going to be 8, 10, whatever it is? Like, and I think this is one thing too I wanted to talk about, just some tips too, like when you're starting, that will help you make these decisions when you get to past your 1 year mark, like going into your second year, right? So you see these, and this is again, Chad helped me put this together based off of the information that I gave him on my personal progress. So I would say start tracking. If you're just starting Zepbound, you should track from day one, everything. Track your shot day, track your weight, track what you're eating, because that's information that you can use once you are at a place where you're no longer, needing so much to worry about losing the weight. It's more about, how am I going to sustain? Well, then you have the history of your personal journey to go back and refer to. Okay, so I tracked this. This is what happened when I ate this kind of food. This is what happened when I worked out this many days, when I walked this many miles, whatever it is, right? Or got this many steps in. It just helps you better determine what your next step is going to be, which is why I'm so glad that I started tracking when I started, because now it's easier for me to like ask myself these questions and think back to where I injected and how I felt when I injected. Like, it helps me to determine where the best shots are for me. Like, I know for myself that it's better for me to inject in the back of my arm and in my thighs. I don't even inject in my stomach anymore because I got stomach cramps when I titrated up to the 5 milligrams. So that just doesn't work for me. The other thing I will say is I would begin with rotating your injection sites. Like, you don't know what injection site is going to be the best for you for as far as absorption and all that stuff unless you try them all. So I knew when I started, I did my stomach, I did my thigh, I kind of waited to do my arm, but I did do my arm when I was still on the 2.5 and felt the most appetite suppression when I injected in my arm. And then the next probably would have been my thighs. And then lastly, probably my stomach. But since I was on the loading dose, I was losing weight left and right. So it was harder for me to tell. When I switched to the 5 milligram, I definitely was easier to tell what gave me the most weight loss and, you know, side effects, all of that kind of stuff. So also, know that plateaus are normal and they are different for every person. It's an individual type of thing. So when you hit a plateau, I didn't hit a actual plateau until my 60 weeks, and everybody is not that way, right? So it could depend on, your age, how much you have to lose, all of that stuff. And then what you're doing as far as like, to help, like I said, the drug itself is a tool. So it also depends on what you are doing outside of just taking your injection, right? Like, what are you doing as far as like what you're eating and how physically active are you? Do you need to increasing those? Like, you should try all of those different things before you try giving up, because it's not a miracle drug. It's not just going to work by itself. Like, you have to help the drug work for you and work in your favor. And then also track your side effects, knowing what injections give you what types of side effects. I know when I titrated up to the 5, I definitely had a lot of fatigue when I first titrated up. And I had fatigue for a lot of weeks where I didn't feel like walking. I didn't feel like doing any physical activity. So you definitely need to monitor when you inject and then how you're feeling after you inject. Do you have um, any kind of bruising or anything in your injection site? Do you have a rash? Do you have, are you feeling nauseous afterwards? Like, pay attention to all of that kind of stuff and then keep track of it. And then You also, and this is actually where I'm more focused on now, I really wasn't my first year, is building muscle while I'm losing fat. So more strength training, lifting weights, getting more, those functional training workouts in, that kind of stuff is really what I've been focused on going into year two. I really was not focused on that year one at all. I was focused really just on eating right, tracking my shot, my injections, and then, at least walking and getting some steps in, and then just focusing on those areas. The 7.5 is working for me right now, so I'm going to stay on it. If you get to a place where you're having, I know some people get food noise or you get your cravings are really strong. That hasn't really been an issue for me. Like, I do sometimes get the food noise, I do sometimes get cravings, but it's not anything like before I started the shot, right? It's not anything that I feel like I can't handle. I mean, sometimes I do, crave for a sweet, but it's not like I'm like overindulging in any of that. So I think pay attention to that for your, like, what works for you. If it's really unbearable, then maybe you do need to think about talking to your doctor and think about titrating up if that's what you feel like you need to do. I think what I did when I got those cravings is I just I went to planning out my meals instead of giving into the sweets and the cravings that I had. And sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. So I didn't, I gave myself some grace with that, right? Like, because I knew that I wasn't eating the way that I was before. So I did give myself more grace. And then the other thing you'll see here is, again, to measure your non-scale victories. So, you're getting into new outfits, you've increased your workouts, all of those things, or you're wearing something that you've never worn before. Like, make sure you track those things too. Take pictures of yourself, right? Take pictures, keep up with your progress. I think that is the biggest overarching message here, is keep up with your progress, track everything, and then give yourself some grace. You know that with the drug, you are not going to have the same type of appetite that you did before you started. So give yourself some grace. And then it does help you with your mindset in changing and being more disciplined and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, so just to kind of wrap up here, weight loss, I think, just kind of the overarching message of this video is that weight loss is a goal, but your transformation is a lifestyle. So it's eating to fuel your body, not just to lose weight. You're moving your body for strength and not just to burn calories. And then you're honoring, like, when your body needs rest, then rest, right? Like, it's basically listening to your body, listening to your hunger cues. Don't eat just to be eating. It's changing that whole mindset about, sorry, it looks like it's going to storm. Changing that whole mindset. Like, you're not just trying to chase away the pounds, right? You're really just transforming your body and your lifestyle into what you want it to be. You have an overarching goal, but this is a lifestyle change. So you have to keep that in mind. And then that's where, like, your sustainability mindset comes in, right? And I'll try to show that sustainability mindset that Chad helped me create. So lots of cool things that Chad helped me create. So let me end with the scripture here. And this is also one of the things that I asked Chad to put in on my milestone. So you'll see that here. And it just shows, like, my week 1 was when I was 287.7. Week 15, when I started the 5 milligrams, I was 260. Week 57, I reached Wonderland and I was at 199.5. Week 60, this is kind of when I started the plateauing and I got back up to 200, but I started adjusted to the 7.5. And then now I'm at 190.2, but I'm actually at week 71. And I know this says 67. So me and Chad have to talk about that. So yeah, so that is where we are, right? So Galatians, I'm going to end with the scripture here. So our anchor scripture. So it's Galatians 6:9, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall weep if we faint not. And really, it's just a reminder that you may hit a plateau or a stall, but you're really still just progressing. It's a part of your season of transformation, and you're going to have stalls, you're going to have those plateaus, but it's still just changing your mindset to think that you can get through the plateau because you're doing other things, not just relying on the drug. You're also relying on your workouts, your meals, your regimen, like all of those things that are important, your non-scale victories, giving yourself some grace. So thank you again for being with me today. I hope I said something that was encouraging. If there's more information, I feel like I zoomed through some of that too. So if there was anything that I said that wasn't clear, you have questions about, please let me know. Again, this is just coming from a place of this has been my experience. I'm almost, I'm over a year in on Zepbound and have learned quite a lot. Drop a comment below if you're in a plateau right now and how you're starting to shift your focus to be to that sustainability mindset. I'd love to hear it. What's working for you? What isn't? Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video. Hopefully it encouraged or blessed you in some way. But until next time, stay tuned for more because more is coming. Thank you.